Good day, chess fans. Max Murray here, bringing you another instructive miniature chess game from Irving Chernov's 1955 book called 1000 Best Short Games of Chess. This game took place in Berlin in 1907 between a chess amateur and a chess master named Bruening. The amateur had the white pieces for a change and began the game with d4, to which Bruening replied d5, giving no ground in the center. I don't know anything about Bruening as a player to share with you, so if you do have any information about Bruening as a chess player, please leave information in the scribbler below. The amateur continued in hoary old fashion with the legendary Queen's Gambit. Bruening replied with the most solid move, protecting the central pawn with another pawn by playing e6, and the amateur followed up with the book move and the most popular move in the position, knight to c3, continuing to place pressure on black's now central strong point, the d5 square, d5 pawn. Here, Bruening lashed out, so to speak, with c5. This move was very controversial way back in the day when it was first introduced into the chess opening praxis. The controversy comes from the fact that black is offering white the opportunity to isolate one of his pawns in the center on the d5 square after pawn takes pawn. C takes D. The idea back then was that the isolated queen pawn was a liability because it cannot be defended by another pawn and will eventually come under attack. However, opening praxis has shown that in an isolated queen pawn position, the person with the player with the isolated pawn does have a great deal of piece activity as compensation. And in fact, whether you love the isolated queen pawn or hate it, the best player will win that game whether they have the isolated pawn or not. But the amateur does not go into these theoretical lines. Instead, he reaches down, picks up his bishop, and plunks it onto the f4 square. Stockfish calls this move a mistake and highlights it in the distinctive and blaring orange color. It's interesting to me that such a natural developing move so early in the opening would be an outright mistake, but indeed it is. Bruening starts to show the refutation, if you will, by playing c takes d4. And I think what Stockfish doesn't like about white's mode of development here, putting the bishop on the f4 square, is now this central pawn exchange. If white were to attempt to restore the material balance, would cause him to lose a lot of time by having his queen abruptly counterattacked in the center. And in fact, Stockfish goes as far as to give knight to c6 in this position an exclamation point, highlights it in the wonderful blue color, and says that it is a great move. None of that, however, happened in the game because the amateur played something that is far more instructive for our purposes. The amateur played bishop takes knight. This is an outright blunder, double question mark, highlighted in red by Stockfish. Bruening does not recapture the bishop, but takes the knight instead, restoring material equality. And white is already in some serious trouble. His bishop is under attack and will need to be evacuated, and he is also facing further pawn exchanges on the b file. So White withdraws his bishop. He places it on the e5 square, which appears to be logical. He's buttressing this diagonal and intends, obviously, to neutralize and capture the black's pawn sitting on the c3 square. But Bruening simply continues, and now perhaps the awful realization hits the amateur player. If he plays bishop takes b2, then black has, and indeed this was played, bishop to b4 check. And look at this position, chess players. White has no way to extract his king except by losing the queen and the game. So that was a very instructive chess game. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more of these games from Max Murray Chess, please like and subscribe, and I'll be happy to produce more for you. Have a great day, and cheers. Ta-ta.